students, welcome to the lecture series on international business. I am Professor Soma Sen Gupta, Kamla Nehru College, University of Delhi. So, this lecture is on International Economic Organization and this is part 4. In this we will discuss the following topics: the remaining portion of World Bank, that is the voting power. Then we will discuss the third international economic organization, that is IMF or International Monetary Fund, in which we will discuss the objectives, functions and its organization structure. Now, voting power under World Bank. This voting power is determined by a country's capital subscription, which is based on its economic resources. So, going by this statement, you can understand that wealthier countries have more voting powers, with the United States holding the largest share, because the capital subscription is highest of US. Voting power is calculated from a combination of share votes, that is based on capital stock, and basic votes, a fixed percentage of the total to ensure broader representation. Share votes: each member country is allocated votes based on the number of shares it holds in the bank's capital stock. And when we talk about basic votes, it is a certain percentage of total votes is designated as basic votes, so that all members have a foundational level of representation. So, a small country with minimum contribution, capital contribution, also have voting rights in the form of basic votes. Then largest shareholders. The countries with the largest voting power include United States, Japan, China, Germany, France and the United Kingdom. Role in decision. Voting power is used to elect the 25 executive directors who represent member countries on the board of directors, which makes the bank's lending and operational decisions. Now, coming to the last international economic organization, and that is International Monetary Fund, or popularly known as IMF. In July 1944, as we have discussed, representatives of 44 countries met at Bretton Woods, New Hampshire, USA. This was where IMF was established, and it was established on December 27, 1945 in Washington on the recommendations of Bretton Woods Conference. All this happened after the end of the Second World War. IMF started its operations on March 1, 1947, and at present 191 nations are members of IMF. Now, it was established to foster international trade and currency conversion, which it does through consultation and loan activities. A member nation must contribute gold equal to 25% of its quota or 10% of its gold stock and US dollar holding, whichever is less. So, there is a formula of contribution to IMF. So, every country has to maintain that, like gold equal to 25% of the quota or 10% of the gold stock and the US dollar holding, whichever is less. On the basis of that only lending takes place. The portion of subscription paid in a nation's own currency is generally paid in the form of deposit balance in favor of the IMF held in the nation's central bank. Thus, the fund gets pooled, a pool of foreign currencies to lend. Together with gold enables it to acquire additional amount of currencies whenever its initial supply of some currencies become depleted. So, in a way, this fund is a huge fund with pool of foreign currencies as well as gold. India, being one of the largest quota holders, that is $600 million, has the honor of having a permanent seat on the board of executive directors. The lending operations of fund technically take the form of sale of currency. So, basically it is lending in the form of sale of currency. Any member nation running short of foreign currency may buy the required currency from the fund, paying for in its own currency. Since each member contributes gold to the extent of 25% of its quota, the fund freely permits a member to draw up to the amount of its gold contribution. So, that much lending can happen to any nation. Additional drawings are permitted only after certain careful and strict scrutiny, since the purpose of the fund is to make temporary and long term loans. It expects repayment of loans within 3 to 5 years. So, these were the rules of IMF lending. The fund has also laid down provisions relating to exchange stability. So, one is lending portion and another is about exchange stability. Members were required to declare the par values of their currencies in terms of gold as a common denominator or in terms of US dollar. So, nowadays in terms of US dollar it is more popular. Thus, under IMF arrangements, gold retains its role in determining the relative values of currencies of different nations. So, gold becomes the standard. Once the par value of different currencies are fixed, it is quite easy to determine the exchange rate between the any two member nations. However, if at any time a member country feels there is a fundamental disequilibrium in its balance of payment position, it may propose a change in the par value of its currency, that is the devaluation. So, many of the countries they go for devaluation by applying to the IMF. But devaluation is allowed or even advised by the IMF for the purpose of correcting a fundamental disequilibrium and not for undue competition or for other advantages. So, they cannot take the benefits of export or import by just devaluation. Thus, the decision to devalue should not be taken unilaterally by the member concerned, but only after consultation with the fund. So, it is not that any country can go for devaluation without discussing it with IMF or consulting with IMF. Now, the objectives of International Monetary Fund. The fundamental object of IMF was the avoidance of competitive devaluation and exchange control that had characterized the era of 1930s. It was set up to administer a code of fair practice in the field of foreign exchange, to make short term loans to member nations experiencing temporary deficits in their balance of payment. Also, to enable them, so this is the fundamental object, to enable them to meet these payments without resorting to devaluation or exchange control while following international policies to maintain domestic income and employment at high levels. Now, there are certain general objectives which is very obvious, that is these are the general objectives of IMF: the elimination or reduction of existing exchange control. So, they do not want that much of exchange control, free convertibility, free exchange is the motto. The establishment and maintenance of currency convertibility and stable exchange rates. The widest extension of multilateral trade payments. In essence, the fund is an attempt to achieve the external or international advantages of gold standard system. Also, this be achieved without subjecting nations to its internal disadvantages and at the same time maintaining the internal advantages of proper standard while bypassing its external disadvantages. Coming to the characteristics of International Monetary Fund. The fund contributes to the promotion and maintenance of high levels of employment and real income. It strives for the development of productive resources of all member nations. So, contributing to promotion and maintenance of high levels of employment and income, and second is development of productive resources. The fund is an autonomous organization affiliated to United Nations organization. IMF constitution represents a departure in the formation of an international organization. It is financed by the participating countries with each country's contribution fixed in terms of quotas. So, in that manner it is different from World Bank. Quotas are according to the relative importance of its prevailing national income and international trade. The quota assigned to a country is determined by its contribution to the capital of the fund. The quotas of all the countries taken together constitute the total financial resources of the fund. Moreover, the contributed quota of a country determines its borrowing rights and voting strength. So, the more the contribution, the more is its borrowing rights or voting strength. Coming to the functions of IMF. The major functions of IMF. It functions as a short-term credit institution. It provides machinery for the orderly adjustments of exchange rates. So, two main things are there. One is the credit, providing credit or short-term credit or loan, and second is maintaining the exchange rate between the countries. It is a reservoir of the currencies of all the member countries from which a borrower nation can borrow the currency of other nations. So, it's a kind of a vault or a reservoir of currencies of different nations. So, any country which is requiring a currency of a particular country can do so or borrow from it by giving its own currency. It is a sort of lending institution in foreign exchange. However, it grants loans for financing current transactions only and not capital transactions. It provides machinery for altering the par value of the currency of a member country. It provides for an orderly adjustment of exchange rates to improve the long-term balance of payment position of member countries. It also provides machinery for international consultations. Now, if we explain the major functions of IMF, it goes like this. First is exchange stability. IMF maintains exchange stability and thereby discourage any fluctuations in the rate of exchange. It ensures such stability by making necessary arrangements like enforcing declaration of par value of currency of all members in terms of gold or US dollar, enforcing devaluation criteria up to 10% or more, enforcing devaluation criteria also by more information or by taking permission from IMF, forbidding members to go in for multiple exchange rates and also to buy or sell gold at prices other than declared par value. Second function is eliminating BOP disequilibrium, helping member countries in eliminating or minimizing the short period disequilibrium of BOP either by selling or lending foreign currencies to the members. So, any kind of disequilibrium that is done away with the help of IMF. The fund also helps its members toward removing the long period disequilibrium in the balance of payment. In case of fundamental changes in the economies of its members, the fund can advise its members to change the par values of its currencies. Third function is determination of par value of the currencies. So, IMF enforces the system of determination of par value of the currencies of the member countries. As per the original articles of agreement of the IMF, every member country must declare the par value of its currency in terms of gold or US dollars. Under the revised articles, the members are given autonomy to float or change exchange rates as per demand supply conditions in the exchange market and also at par with internal price levels. IMF exercises surveillance also to ensure proper working and balance in the international monetary system by avoiding manipulation in the exchange rates. By adopting intervention policy to counter short term movements in the exchange value of the currency. Now, next function is stabilize economies. IMF advises the member countries on various economic and monetary matters and thereby to help stabilize their economies. Credit facilities. IMF maintains various borrowing and credit facilities so as to help the member countries in correcting disequilibrium in the balance of payment. These credit facilities include basic credit facility, extended fund facility for a period of 3 years, compensatory financing facility and Lucifer stock facility. So, all these are under credit facilities. These credit facilities are for helping the primary producing countries, supplementary financing facility, special oil facility, trust fund, structural adjustment facility, etc. The fund also charges interest from the borrowing countries on their credit. Now, next function is maintaining balance between demand and supply of currencies. IMF can declare a currency as scarce currency which is in great demand. The fund can increase its supply by borrowing it from the country concerned or by purchasing the same currency in exchange of gold. Next is maintenance of liquidity. There is provision for the member countries to borrow from IMF by surrendering their own currencies in exchange. For accumulation of less demand currencies or demanded currency with the fund, the borrowing countries are directed to repurchase their own currencies by repaying its loans in convertible currencies. Then another function is technical assistance. Technical assistance is given in two ways. By granting the members countries the services of its specialists and experts, by sending the outside experts. So, experts can be called and they can provide technical assistance. Now, the organization structure of IMF. So, this is the organization structure which is provided by the IMF, or it is there in on the site of IMF, website of IMF. So, if we go deeper in that diagram, at the top level, so certain bodies are there like board of governors. The highest authority with one governor from each member country, typically the minister of finance or central bank governor. So, they become the board of governors. It meets annually and holds all the IMF's powers. Then comes the ministerial committees. These committees advise the board of governors and include International Monetary and Financial Committee IMFC and developing countries. At the executive and management level of IMF, there is an executive board which manages the IMF's day-to-day business and is composed of 24 executive directors representing all member countries. Then another level is managing director. The head of the IMF staff and the chair of the executive board assisted by 4 deputy managing directors. There is a staff and other departments also in IMF, so which includes area department, oversee economic programs for specific geographic regions. Then there is functional department which provide specialized expertise in areas like research, fiscal affairs and statistics. Then there is a support department. This provides internal administrative and other support services to different departments. So, we can see that if we go through the whole of the lecture, we can summarize in the form that first we have discussed the leftover portion of World Bank. So, one topic was left, and that is the voting power. So, we discussed the voting power in the World Bank, and it is determined by a country's capital subscription based on its economic resources. Then we discuss International Monetary Fund, IMF. Now, the genesis of all the three international economic organizations that we have discussed in the course of 4 lectures was the Bretton Woods Conference, which was held in Hampshire in New York. So, International Monetary Fund was established on December 27, 1945 in Washington on the recommendations of Bretton Woods Conference to foster international trade and currency conversion through consultation and loan activities. The objectives of IMF are elimination or reduction of exchange control, establishment of currency convertibility with stable exchange rates, and to achieve the external or international advantages of gold standard system. There are several functions of IMF. Specifically, they are maintaining the exchange stability, eliminating BOP disequilibrium, determining par value of the currencies, stabilize economic credit facility, economies and then credit facility, maintaining balance between demand and supply of currencies, maintaining liquidity and technical assistance. And there are many more functions of IMF. Now, the organization structure of IMF consists of board of governors, ministerial committees, and they are the top level, and then there are executive level, that is the executive board and the managing director, and at the lowest level there are staff and support departments providing different types of services or looking after different type of services. So, what we have studied in international economic organizations are that after the end of the World War II, Bretton Woods Conference took place in 1944, and there they decided that 3 economic organizations of international level will be formed, like the World Trade Organization, and then IBRD, which is known as World Bank, and IMF, that is International Monetary Fund. Initially the purpose was that these will work for not only fostering trade between the countries, but also reconstruction of war-torn European countries. Later on, they emphasized the need for liberalization of trade and development of less developed countries and developing countries. So, that was about the 3 organizations under International Economic Organization. There are many other organizations, but we are strictly following the syllabus of BCom Honors and BCom program. For your references, you can go through the following books. One is by C.B. Gupta, International Business, and this is an S. Chand publication. Then Sumati Verma, International Business, and this is Pearson publication. Chaturvedi and others, International Business, it is MKM Publishers, New Delhi. Then Hill and Hult, International Business, Competing in the Global Marketplace, this is by McGraw-Hill, and I believe you have understood the subject very well, and you will go through these references and you may find it interesting. Thank you so much. Have a very nice day.